Hello, and welcome to today's webinar, Energy Prices Are Rising, Tips and Tools to Help Residential Consumers Save Money. Next slide, please. The Citizens Utility Board of Wisconsin would like to thank our promotional partners who have helped spread the word about our residential program today. Thank you, Be Local Wisconsin, Community Shares of Wisconsin, Focus on Energy, Midwest Renewable Energy Association, Renew Wisconsin, Solar Share Wisconsin Co-op, Sustain Dane, Walnut Way, Waukesha County Green Team, Wisconsin Eco Latinos, Wisconsin Sustainable Business Council, and the Wisconsin Office of Sustainability and Clean Energy. Next slide, please. My name is Laura West-Kralcik, and I was recently elected to the Citizens Utility Board of Wisconsin Board of Directors. Today, I will be your event MC. I'm here because consumer protection is critical with utility service. The money you pay to your utility should be affordable for you, your family, and your small business. And it should be spent responsibly by the utility and result in reliable service. As an advocate for rural Wisconsin, I am proud to serve on the CUB board because CUB represents all of us in Wisconsin. Their team is working diligently day in and day out to represent our voice at the Public Service Commission. Before we kick off today's webinar, I would like to cover some housekeeping items. Today's webinar is being recorded and a version of it will be posted to YouTube for public viewing. I also want to acknowledge today's webinar support from Richard of CUB, as well as Lisa at Evolution Marketing. Today together, they will be assisting us. Please submit your questions through the Q&A feature on the Zoom screen. Q&A is listed under the More button. If you have technical questions or questions that you may not want shared with everyone here, please send them directly to Lisa Giesenbauer, including your contact information. She will make sure either a CUB staffer or one of our speakers will follow up with you to answer your question. We have enabled the closed captioning on this webinar. To access it, just click on the box at the bottom of the screen that has the CC in it. Next slide, please. Let's review CUB's role and focus areas. CUB is Wisconsin's consumer advocate for residential and small business customers. It's the nation's oldest CUB, founded in 1979, created by the legislature. We are nonpartisan and nonprofit. We advocate for consumer protection, affordability, fairness, and safe and reliable utility service. Membership information can be found at cubwi.org. The two areas of focus for CUB is regulatory work and education and outreach. Next slide, please. Here's a map that shows all the different consumer advocates across the U.S. CUB Wisconsin is one of 3 states that has a nonprofit only advocating for their residents in the U.S. Many states, as shown in blue on the map, have a state-level governmental agency that provides the same type of regulatory work that CUB Wisconsin does. Lastly, there are at least 9 states that have both a nonprofit and a governmental agency that are providing the consumer education and regulatory work that CUB Wisconsin does. Next slide, please. CUB is your customer advocate. As stated earlier, CUB was founded in 1979. Wisconsin is the first state in the country to create a residential nonprofit to advocate for utility customers where decisions are made regarding monopoly utilities. The goal of CUB is to level the playing field of influence where key decisions are made. It's all about fairness. CUB has saved customers $3.8 billion since 2006. 40 million saved in 2023 alone, and 569 million in the past 6 years. CUB's focus is fairness, balance, and affordability. Next slide, please. CUB represents and advocates for all Wisconsin small utility customers, including individual citizens, small businesses, and farmers. CUB advocates for fair, safe, and reliable utility service across Wisconsin. If you're not a CUB member, but you think this is important to you, please consider supporting our work and become a member today. Next slide, please. We have put together a wonderful education program today for the Wisconsin residential community. We have two panelists who will provide a lot of excellent information to help Wisconsin homeowners, renters, and farmers save money on their utilities. Our first speaker will be Richard Storck, the Director of Outreach and Engagement for CUB. He will be providing us with a 2024 rate case update. Our second speaker will be Brady Steigauf, the Community Liaison Manager at Focus on Energy. Brady will be demonstrating the Focus on Energy website and their interactive tools. I would like to remind all attendees to please put your questions about any topics that come up in the chat. We will also be sharing the recording, and all slides for this webinar will be posted later this week. Now it is my pleasure to welcome Richard. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Laura. And I want to thank you all for joining us today. My name is Richard Storck, and I am the Director of Outreach and Engagement here at the Citizens Utility Board of Wisconsin. Today, I will share information on the outlook for this winter's heating season, describe the forces responsible for the alarming rise in Wisconsin's electricity rates, and provide an opportunity for you to make your voice heard in the We Energies and WPS rate cases. While the official winter heating outlooks have yet to be posted, we do know that natural gas futures prices for 2025 are up more than 40% compared to 2024. But actual natural gas heating costs will depend on how cold the winter is and what your utility actually pays for natural gas, which is not necessarily the futures price. There are some actions you could take now. I'd like to call you to the left side of this slide. Time of use rates. That's where the rate is lower and later in the evening and overnight. Be sure to check with your utility. They vary on when those begin and the rate. On the right side of the screen, budget billing can make your monthly bills more consistent. And coming up very shortly, we'll be having Brady talk with us about Focus on Energy, and he will show you how their products and services can help you save. This slide shows how Wisconsin's electricity rates are high compared to other states. In fact, we're the 13th highest in the US and second highest in the Midwest. Now, on the right side of the slide, you may be able to pick out your utility. 4 Wisconsin ones are in the top 16. A great concern to CUB is the fact that Wisconsin electricity bills are rising faster than inflation. This graph shows how steeply We Energies residential bills have risen since 2005. Their customers alone have seen rates increase by 15% in 2022. The utility seeks another double-digit increase this fall. Taken together, we're looking at a 33% increase from 2022 to 2026 if approved. WEC Energy Group owns both the Milwaukee utility, We Energies, and the Green Bay utility, Wisconsin Public Service, or WPS. Their service territories extend well beyond the limits of those cities. As you can see here, combined, they seek an $800 million increase in electricity rates for the years 2025 and 2026. I call your attention to the 4th bullet point under WEC rate cases seeking $800 million total. Both utilities in this rate case are seeking a rate of return on equity or profit of over 10%. So let's dive into that profit. The graph on the lower left shows where Wisconsin sits in terms of utility profits throughout the country. 5th place. That's higher than it needs to be. The graph just to the right of that shows how We Energy's stock has performed compared to a typical utility. They've done 71% better. The graph to the right of that shows that customers of We Energies have seen their prices double since 2004. So I guess we know the source of those huge profits. CUB is focused on the affordability challenge by looking at the issue of household energy burden. High energy burden exists when more than 6% of household income is spent on utility bills. These maps show the extent of the problem, both in urban and rural parts of the state. The chart on the left shows We Energies, their Wisconsin electric utility. The Wisconsin Gas natural gas utility is in the middle, and customers of Green Bay-based WPS on the right. The areas in pink and purple, those hues, show the neighborhoods where more people are struggling to pay their bills. CUB is calling on the PSC to strongly consider the customer's ability to pay when deciding the fate of rate hikes now pending in these cases. This is all pretty alarming, which is why CUB is focusing on affordability in the current cases involving We Energies and Wisconsin Public Service. In our proposal before the Public Service Commission, who will determine the rates, We Energies customers would save $125 million and Wisconsin Public Service customers would save $40 million. Furthermore, Wisconsin utilities are very busy with plans closing old coal plants and building new natural gas and solar power plants. But there's a catch. These shuttered coal plants' costs are contained in rates customers pay, including profits. We Energy's Oak Creek coal plant alone would generate over $300 million in profits for the utility for the next 17 years while producing no electricity. It's not right, and that's not fair. CUB is calling on the Public Service Commission to remove profits from rates on shuttered coal plants. If all this has made you a little angry, please speak out. The Public Service Commission needs to know that the excessive profits We Energies, Wisconsin Public Service, and the rest of Wisconsin's investor-owned utilities have earned on the backs of customers have gone on for far too long and now need to be reined in. Please attend a public hearing either in person, via Zoom, or online. And I invite you to check out the QR code here and sign up to receive updates from CUB. And I thank you all for tuning in.
All right, thanks, Richard. My name is Brady Steigauf, and I work for Focus on Energy. And I will be sharing my screen in just a moment. One of the things I wanted to do is quick introduce Focus on Energy. So if you haven't heard of us before, which I hope you all have, Focus on Energy is approaching our 25th birthday, but we were created by the legislature to help customers save energy amid Wisconsin's growing energy demand. And so since then, we've been offering rebates and incentives, as well as some technical assistance and education on saving energy. So I think that this webinar that Cub has hosted. I really am grateful for them inviting me to speak on some of the tips and tools that Focus on Energy has created to help customers save money on energy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk people through our website to share some of the tools that we've made and kind of do a tutorial so that you can either follow along at home or afterwards. You can use this as a resource to look into some details for your own home or apartment. So one of the things that I'll start with is this is our website. It's www.focusonenergy.com. Maybe I'll ask Laura, since I can see you on camera, are you able to see my screen? Just double checking.
Yes, yes, I can see it.
Great. I wanted to share this Get Started button because this is a new tool that we developed. It's a way that if you are not sure where to start on saving energy, you can enter some of your details about your home and your energy utility and find all the resources that you're eligible for in Wisconsin. So you can select it whether you rent or a homeowner. We certainly offer a little bit more resources for homeowners since you have control over your heating and cooling equipment, but we do have some resources for renters that I'll dive into. But say you're a homeowner living in Madison, you have a household size of 3, and you make $65,000. It'll show all the utilities that are in your zip code. And so you'll select those and you can do search and it'll show you all the rebates that are eligible for your home based on your income. And so it starts with the free energy saving products that we ship to you for free. Every calendar year you can get one. And we have links for where you can do that on our website. But they're also grouped by category because there's a lot of rebates. You can see I can scroll down. There's a lot of different opportunities for you to get efficient equipment through Focus on Energy. So you can do things like whole home retrofit, and you'll see our IRA rebate programs, for example. Or you could see water heaters, electrical through the tax credits, rebates, etc. So it's kind of a resource library. And I'll also mention if your income qualifies, it'll let you know whether you're eligible for the Weatherization Assistance Program, which is the other program in Wisconsin that helps customers save money on energy. So I think this is a really cool tool because it helps kind of break down our website specific to your home and your zip code with the utilities that we partner with. So a really good tool, and we're really excited to have rolled this out. So I wanted to make sure that was the first thing I shared with everybody. I'm going to navigate back to our homepage and talk a little bit about if you are a renter or live in a multifamily building. We do offer the free energy saving packs that you're eligible for. As I mentioned, we also have an online marketplace that offers instant discounts on different energy saving products like light bulbs, power strips, water saving measures, and smart thermostats, which are really popular, as well as some air purifiers as well. So like I said, that's an instant discount. So when you check out, you'll see that the price is reduced thanks to Focus on Energy. And most renters should be eligible to get that equipment. If it requires an install, I might just check with your property manager first. And then I'll also share, we do have a multifamily program. So if you're a renter, you might want to share this website link with your landlord and talk a little bit about the benefits of efficiency and what Focus on Energy can offer your property manager, and hopefully those benefits will trickle down to you. So wanted to share those just from the get-go as some of our resources for renters. I mentioned the free energy saving packs. One other service that we offer is an online free home energy assessment tool. So I'll scroll down to show you this. If you scroll down, it's this online home energy assessment. It only takes about 10 minutes and it's free. I will give the disclaimer, it's not as detailed as if you got a professional energy audit for your home that would include such as like a blower door test and a little bit more details on your home. But we do offer a YouTube video on how to use our free tool, a get started button that'll prompt you to very similarly add a few details about your home, your heating and cooling equipment, and then it will provide a customized report for your home, and it'll have some simple paybacks for different energy projects. It'll give those recommendations for what projects it thinks you should do, and then link back to the Focus on Energy page for where you can find rebates and incentives for those energy projects. I will say that the free online assessment does not qualify you for the Inflation Reduction Act Homes program. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But again, it's free and it only takes about 10 minutes. So if you're wondering whether you should get an energy audit in the first place, it's a really good low stakes option that we offer customers for free. Another resource that I'd like to share is finding an energy advisor. I think, I mentioned the bulk of what Focus on Energy does is rebates and incentives, but I think this is a super big resource that we offer that not every customer knows about. So we offer energy advisors all across the state. They're geographically, locally based, and they have different expertise on various energy topics. So for example, we have IRA Homes Program Energy Advisors. I'll click on this. They vary by region, but you can have their contact information right there. So if you are looking at the website and you're having some questions, or you want a little bit of help navigating some of our programs and incentives, or don't know where to start, this is a really good place. So like I said, each one has different area, and they vary based on their expertise. So I know in the chat somebody has mentioned they're a condo owner. So if your association was interested in a project, and you said you were mentioning you were located in the Milwaukee office, you could look at our website and see kind of what incentives are available to us. But then when you're ready to start thinking about projects and you're not sure where to start, you can reach out to your energy advisor, for example, by phone or by email, and learn a little bit about where you should start with your journey on energy saving. We also offer that for heating and cooling, residential insulation and air sealing, and renewables as well. And like I said, we also have specific energy advisors for the multifamily, or the IRA programs. And a lot of these will also know Focus on Energy rebates as well. So they'll be able to ask or answer questions that you have on both programs. So this is a really good first line of defense. I know a lot of people sometimes come and approach me with questions, but often I'm asking these energy advisors because they know so much more than I do on our programs. So they're a really, really good resource available to you. Another great resource, if you know what project you want to do and you're looking to find a contractor that you can trust to give you the rebates, we have a Find a Trade Ally Contractor tool under Resources, the same place that you find our Energy Advisor map. Give it a second to load. But you're able to search by zip code or the entire state and kind of select what distance they're willing to travel. So if you live kind of further away from their base, you're able to look for that. But then you can search by what service you need and find trade allies that specialize in that. So whether it's HVAC for heating and cooling equipment, insulation, new construction for our new construction program, geothermal, solar, heat pump water heaters, etc. We offer you to search for each of these, and then we have some filters as well that you can boil down your search if you are interested in a certified minority-owned business or a veteran, or need Spanish assistance as well. So I think this is another really great resource for if you're looking for contractors that are knowledgeable about the Focus on Energy program. And lastly, I know everybody's really excited about the IRA home energy rebates. That funding comes from the Department of Energy and is being passed through to the state of Wisconsin. 150 million roughly was allocated for the state of Wisconsin. And since we already have a statewide energy efficiency program, Focus on Energy, those dollars are flowing through Focus on Energy for sort of a 360 service on energy efficiency. So I want to talk a little bit about these, we have our own sort of landing page that you can navigate from the Focus on Energy website. So that's focusonenergy.com/home-energy-rebates. And within the home energy rebate program, there are two different programs that you can participate in. We have our whole home energy efficiency rebates, or we call it HOMES, which is available now for customers to participate in. And then coming very soon, the home electrification and appliance rebate program. So if you're looking to swap one for one, a device that uses fossil fuels to something that runs on electricity, the home electrification and appliance rebate is a great fit for you, especially for heating and cooling incentives. But then if you're looking for more of the whole home approach that will include some insulation, I recommend the HOMES program. One thing that's great about this website is it does include a little details about the Inflation Reduction Act, but also it will link back to the Focus on Energy rebates, the Weatherization Assistance Program, as two other ways that you can stack incentives with these federal rebates. And then we also have a blog on what tax credits are eligible for you, so that whatever cost remaining after rebates are applied, you may be eligible for tax credits for many of these same projects. So there's a lot of resources on here, including the Get Started tool. If you scroll down, you'll have each program website. I'll let the people attending kind of explore the HERE program themselves in their own time, but I did want to just quickly show you some of the resources we have on the HOMES program, because we have our own landing page for this program. It begins with sort of the customer journey. So your first step, if you're interested in participating in this program, is finding out if your income, what your income qualifies you for. So this program increases the incentives the lower your income is to help cover more of the cost. So you'll want to know what you're eligible for before you get started. And then you want to start working with an IRA registered contractor, which will be distinct from our Focus on Energy Trade Ally network. So I'll show that in a second. Then you'll want to get an energy assessment as your first step. That's one of the things you'll look for in a contractor. Together, you'll decide a scope, and then you'll work with the contractor to submit that application, get that reviewed, and your rebate paid. So this website walks you through how to participate in the program. I mentioned you'll want to get an energy assessment to begin with. These typically cost around $500 to $700. It'll vary depending on where you're at in the state and which contractor you choose. But I did want to mention that in our stakeholder sessions that we hosted throughout Wisconsin prior to launching these rebates, we heard that energy assessment costs could be a barrier, particularly for low-income customers. And so we heard that feedback. And if your income is below 80% area median income, which qualifies you for the highest incentive through these new rebate programs, you are eligible for a $500 instant rebate to help cover that cost. If there's any remaining cost beyond the $500 instant rebate, we hope that the tax credits can help you. They go up to $150 to cover assessment costs. And if you don't qualify for this instant rebate and you're not low income, you're definitely still should look at the tax credit eligible for getting an energy assessment. We do offer a link to find a registered contractor, so I'll show you that in a second. But I did want to highlight, we have a chart that indicates how much of a project or how much of a rebate you can get. So I mentioned you'll get an energy assessment. That energy assessment will recommend some energy saving tips for you and tell you how much energy they're modeling that you can save by completing those projects. And so the more you save, the more money you can get. If you fall between the 20 and 34% energy savings, if you're low income family, you can get up to 100% of the project cost up to $5,000. If you're a moderate income household as defined by the federal government, you're eligible for half the project cost up to $2,000. And if you're a higher income family as defined by the federal government, you can get 50% of the project cost up to $1,500. And if you can reach the 35% or greater, those project rebate amounts double. And as I mentioned, this is just for the Inflation Reduction Act. Focus on Energy also offers incentives for things like insulation and air sealing, furnace or air source heat pump rebates, and then water heater incentives as well. So when you stack Focus on Energy rebates with these Inflation Reduction Act rebates, it can really, depending on your income, cover 100% to a lot of the project cost, significantly reducing that upfront cost to becoming more efficient. And while the multifamily part is still kind of being worked on for this program, we will offer incentives for multifamily buildings to participate in this program as well. Lastly, as part of this, I wanted to show you that we have a separate Get Started tool that's on this Homes Energy website. So if you know you just want to participate in the IRA program, we have a separate Get Started button. I'll open it up in a new tab for you to see. This is the pre-qualification for the IRA rebates. So you'll enter your address, unit number if applicable, and then some of your details. And then based on your income, it'll let you know what documentation you need to submit to verify your income. We also offer categorical eligibility. So if you're participating in a different state program in Wisconsin where you already have to verify your income, many of those programs, all you have to do is show proof that you're enrolled in one of those programs, that you've already proved your income, and we'll accept that. And I've heard it usually takes just a few days to a week or so once you submit your income qualifications to get an approval letter for what you're eligible for to participate in the program. You'll be able to use that letter to work with your contractor to start getting an energy assessment and participate in the program. So once you qualify your income, you would want to look for an IRA registered contractor. So this is a separate list in part because these contractors have to comply with some of the federal guidance versus for Focus on Energy to be a trade ally. We have a little less stringent requirements for them to be ambassadors of the program. But I'll show you, you can zoom in on your part of the state. Bear with me as it loads a little bit. Not going to Labrador Sea. Sorry, it's a little finicky when I'm on Zoom, taking some of my internet bandwidth. But I'll zoom in to sort of southeast Wisconsin. Part of what you're going to want to look at if you're participating in the homes program is looking for a contractor that's either primary for homes or energy assessor. Because as mentioned, you need to get that energy assessment as a first step to participate. If they are a primary contractor, you can reach out to them directly, and part of what they'll do is they'll triage all the work that you need to do as the customer. So they'll refer you to an energy assessor, and then based on the recommended work from that assessment, this contractor will bid out the rest of the work with you so that you can complete the projects and submit that project. You'll also see that some of them are already getting ready to be an electrification installer as well for the electrification program. So you can look at different contractors around the area. It'll share what languages they speak. This one, for example, I mentioned does the home energy assessments, and they're also an IRA homes primary contractor. So that's sort of what the first two main steps for participating in that program that I wanted to share that we have for folks. And I think with that, those are most of the tools that I wanted to share with this group and on this call. We've got a lot more that you can dive into on our website, but I think this is some of the main things and some of the most relevant for this time of year and with us launching that homes program.
Excellent. Thank you, Brady and Richard, for your helpful information today. Now it's time to ask some questions that we have for our speakers. So Brady, I will start with you. First question is, I'm assuming that stacking of the rebates can't exceed the total project cost. Is that correct?
Oops, sorry, I was on mute. My answer was that that's correct. You can't stack rebates to go beyond 100% of the project cost.
Thank you. And I will continue a couple more questions with you, Brady. The next one, does the self-energy assessment count as an energy assessment to access rebates?
Good question. It does not. So that's just really a preliminary free tool that we offer. It's a great place to get started, and it's low stakes since it's free, but you need to get a professional, it's Building Performance Institute certified energy assessment to participate in the IRA rebate program, as well as to get focus on energy, insulation, and air sealing incentives. So it's not a replacement, but it is a really good place to start.
Thank you. Are the contractors all union businesses for the trade ally contractors?
They are not all union. That's not a requirement for participating as a trade ally or as a registered contractor for the programs.
Okay, good. Can you talk about the difference between the IRA contractor and a focus on energy contractor?
Yeah, so there is a lot of overlap. I think one of the future iterations we'll have of our Find a Registered Trade Ally or Registered Contractor tool, excuse me, will be to mention if there are also a focus on energy trade ally. But there's different requirements for the federal government than we have for our program. And our program, meaning focus on energy, is a little less stringent. So one of the things I might recommend is that you take a look at both the trade ally tool and the registered contractor if you're going to be doing a significant amount of work, to make sure that you see the overlap between them and make sure that they participate in both programs if you want to stack both focus on energy rebates and IRA rebates. And I'll also say part of that is the focus on energy trade allies. They work in most of the state because we participate, or we partner with 107 out of 120 utilities in Wisconsin, but there are 13 that do not participate in the Focus on Energy program, where we have contractors that, for that reason, don't participate in Focus on Energy. But the Inflation Reduction Act rebates are eligible to anyone throughout the state. So we will have some contractors that work in an area that they can't participate in Focus on Energy, and they'll only want to be a registered contractor. So I definitely recommend a little due diligence on your part if you're interested in participating, to just make sure your contractor participates in both programs. But I can say the majority do.
Thank you for explaining the difference there. Brady, at the beginning, when you shared the tool that allows you to put in your household income, the zip code, utility, and et cetera, does that show you a comprehensive overview of all the rebates available, such as home rebates, the focus on energy, et cetera?
Yeah, that Get Started tool does show all, with the exception of your local utility may offer an incentive as well. Some of them do in Wisconsin, but not all. So you might want to just double check on your utility website for some other programs to save energy as well. But other than that, it's all of the focus on energy rebates, as well as IRA rebates, the Weatherization Assistance Program, and when eligible, it'll mention some of the tax credits available too.
Okay. And for renters, does Focus on Energy have any suggestions on how to approach landlords with these incentives?
Yeah, I think it'll vary on what your situation is. If a landlord pays for heat, that might be one of your selling points, as that reduces their operating costs and might make you as the tenant more comfortable, which might in turn mean less complaints that the property manager has to hear. So I think that's one way to sell it. I recommend, kind of sharing our website pages that we have. And if you get some maybe, tentative interest from the landlord, that might be a good opportunity to connect your property manager with one of our energy advisors to see if they have questions and want to follow through with some projects. but I do that initial screening before you maybe bring in our energy advisors.
Thank you. Brady, can you also talk about relevant resources for condo associations and owners?
Yeah, I think we can send this out afterwards, but we do have our multifamily page. So if you were a condo owner, you want to get your association kind of aligned, but I would look at our multifamily page because those will be the same incentives that your building will be eligible for. And then if you're thinking about going forward with projects or you need a little help after that, I'd reach out to your multifamily energy advisor.
Staying kind of on the lines of multifamily, for the multifamily homes rebates, can one certified audit be applicable for other units of the same footprint? Does each unit need to have a separate audit, or as long as all the units are the same? Can you talk about if you need one or more?
Yeah, I think we're still working on the details of the multifamily participation pathway for homes. Um, I know less about the energy assessment, and maybe I can follow up with a question on that, but I do know, at least for the what incentives will be available for the building, if half of the tenants are income qualified for the higher incentive at the lower income level, the whole building will be eligible for those incentives. So let me get back to you on the question of the energy assessment. But at least for knowing which tier of incentives you'll be eligible for, at least half of the tenants will have to qualify their income through the program to be eligible for the different tiered incentives.
Okay, and just for a little bit of clarification, is the multifamily different or quite different from the condo association because there are different owners? More like a community versus the ownership or the landlord.
I would say it's really not too different in terms of how they participate. It's more that decision-making process of, you have one centralized property owner or management company, usually for a renter situation versus for a condo, you'll just want to make sure that your association is all aligned on what work they want to have done and what the associated costs would be to participate.
And what actions can renters take?
So at least from the Focus on Energy side, there is the free energy savings pack that I mentioned, our online marketplace where you can purchase products at a discounted rate that help you save energy. But I think a lot of the things that renters can do are mostly behavioral. So we're working hopefully soon to have a page up that will include some of those behavior opportunities. I think the good news is that many folks that live at least in multifamily buildings typically have lower energy bills and lower energy usage, just because they are either not paying for heating and or the fact that they have shared walls means that they lose less of their heat to the outside. So we typically see higher energy use in single family homes or like duplexes compared to multifamily. But obviously you won't have a lot of control if you don't own your building. But we do offer things in our packs like the window film that can help insulate your windows if they're drafty. And we have some water saving measures as well as light bulbs, things like that, that can lower your electric bill that many renters are often responsible for.
Got it. And I want to jump back just a minute back to the condos. Brady, do you have anything else to add regarding that legally condos are different from multifamily?
I don't personally, I am not sure how much that will necessarily, I don't think I have expertise to weigh in on that one.
Got it. So on a different topic, can DIYers do work on their own homes that would qualify, of course, or do they have to have a professional to take advantage of the homes program?
Yeah, I asked that before the call, and I did find out that you will have to go through the professional contractor installation for the homes project. So there is no DIY path. It must be done by a registered contractor. There will be a path for the electrification rebates in the future, but at least when we launch, we plan to do a contractor install only to start, just because it's a little bit more complicated. You are eligible to do a focus on energy DIY installation. I will say there's a lot of paperwork to fill out, but there is a 25C tax credit on installation that you would be eligible for if you did a DIY project.
Thank you. Now I want to jump over to Richard and ask a couple questions to you. Richard, are there electric co-ops included in the rate analysis? It would be excellent if we had a table showing all utilities and tariff components, including the co-ops.
That's a really good question. I'm not an expert in that area. My understanding is that cooperatives are regulated federally and not by the State Public Service Commission.
Thank you for answering that. Another question for you, Richard, is what role does existing debt obligations play in the continued inclusion of shuttered coal plants in rates long after they cease generating electricity?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yes. What role does existing debt obligations play in the continued inclusion of shuttered coal plants in rates long after they cease generating electricity?
I'm sorry, I do not know the answer to that. If the questioner could leave their contact information, and one of our program staff will be able to get back on that and with an answer with that.
Okay, we will, if there's something else I can provide on that, I'll come back and revisit that. Otherwise, yeah, maybe we can answer that offline. The other question I have is, can you define what high energy burden is, referring to the map that you talked about?
Yes, high energy burden exists when more than 6% of a household income is spent on utility bills.
Okay, thank you for that. I am not seeing any other questions at this time. Okay.
Laura, there are a couple more for Rich if you just scroll down a little bit on the page.
Oh, okay. Let me see if I can find them. I didn't see them.
I could voice it over if it's easier.
Oh, sure.
Richard, what are the main things that CUB is fighting for us customers in the state of Wisconsin tied to the rate cases?
Well, I'd say we're looking for balance in the oversight of the monopoly utilities in Wisconsin, which means bringing down the profits and taking common sense steps, like not allowing utilities to profit after coal plants stop providing electricity for the people. And as we show in the energy burden maps, we're concerned about rising prices, not just this year, but in the years to come. So we want the PSC to turn over every rock to find savings for customers.
Okay, I do see one more question. Isn't utilities investing in renewable energy a good thing? Solar prices have come way down, right? And this
Yes,
would be for Richard.
yes, solar prices have come way down, and there's no fuel costs associated when the sun shines or the wind blows, which is unlike coal and natural gas. But the challenge is we're at a pinch point in the energy transition where we're paying for the new solar along with investments that have been made in coal and natural gas over the last 5 to 15 years. So it's similar to putting solar on your home, where the upfront costs are higher when you install, but then you achieve energy savings over time. In some ways, it's the same thing with utility scale solar. Of concern now is that solar projects are going way over budget. And the utilities are also planning massive expansion of natural gas generation to help accommodate increased energy demand from data centers.
Thank you, Richard. Were there any other questions? Okay, this time I think we have them all answered. So with that being the case, I want to thank all of our speakers and our promotional partners who have helped to make today possible. Thank you to our listeners who have joined us today. And here on the screen, you'll see that we have a couple more resources for you. Next slide, please. Part of the Citizens Utility Board of Wisconsin's mission is to help educate Wisconsin homeowners and renters. In short, the utility customers across the state. Today's program was one of 2 educational webinars we are offering this fall. The next one is the January 29th, 2025. That's the date, and it is the CUB 2024 year in review. So here is some information where you can register to get signed up for that next webinar. Next slide, please. And we also want you to save the date because I want to draw your attention to CUB's 45th anniversary celebration on December 3rd. This is an in-person event and it's at Radio Milwaukee. You are all invited to attend, so please register for this event. And with that, I thank you for sharing the past hour with us. It was just a little short of an hour actually, but this will end today's event. Please have a great afternoon. Thank you.